Dragon Ball. What can I say that hasn't been said about this franchise? It's one of the greatest stories ever told, and many people's gateway into anime. Like Star Wars, I wanted to read all the books, play all the games, get all the toys, and yes, talk with fellow nerds on the internet about who would win in a fight, Goku or Superman. But with all huge franchises come big Hollywood adaptations. And rumors of a Dragon Ball live-action film go back to the beginning of the height of Dragon Ball's popularity in the West. And I was there through it all. The rumors, the real news, the drama, the actual viewing, and then the aftermath. Dragon Ball Evolution, unfortunately, like most anime live-action adaptations, was a roller coaster ride of emotions for both fans and those involved with making it. I was absolutely obsessed with it all, and my obsession culminated in me creating my own little personal archive of Dragon Ball Evolution merchandise and digital goods I collected through my research in the Wayback Machine. In my research, I created a brief timeline of events to paint a picture of how insane the production of this film was. In this video, I'll be discussing the evolution of the Dragon Ball live-action adaptation in 5 separate parts. Part 1 will be Dragon Ball Z the movie, where the film was at one point a Dragon Ball Z movie. Part 2 will be Dragon Ball the movie, where the film starts to take its shape. Part 3 will be Dragon Ball Evolution, where the film finally is released. Part 4 will be the aftermath of Evolution, which is pretty explanatory there. And then to round things off, Part 5, I will be talking about the PSP video game. Just because I love it and I think it's a fun way to end a sad story. This is just a small taste and a brief glimpse into the making of this movie. This is just through my eyes, through my observation. And I really hope you enjoy. I put a lot of work into this video, put a lot of work into this research and collecting everything. If you like this video, please subscribe, and I will definitely be making more for you. Now, on to the video. This is how Dragon Ball Evolution was made.
Ruthless, vicious, and on a mission to possess the power of the 7 Dragon Balls. Meet Lord Piccolo. He'll take on anyone to unleash his vengeance on the world.
Human power has failed again!
Dragon Ball Evolution.
In April 2001, the live-action movie was announced by Funimation on their official DragonBallZ.com website. The following year, 2002 in March, official word spreads to movie news outlets. From Screen Daily by Mark Schilling. 20th Century Fox is to make a $100 million live-action feature based on the Japanese cult comic Dragon Ball. May 2003, Funimation unofficially confirms further details of the movie. Now this is where it gets really interesting. The official DragonBallZ.com website publishes unofficial news information. From username Saiyan's Rage, who is a fan, supplied this rumor to Funimation. According to Saiyan's Rage, a source within 20th Century Fox has posted the following. Fox is shooting for a PG-13 rating and a running time of somewhere between 3 to 4 hours. They are hoping for the DBZ movie saga to be 4 episodes long, 4 movies. And then the following year, they continue to post unconfirmed information. The author Otherworld Steve posts a lot of information from a fan-ran official site of Kyle Haber. And they talk about how they think that the CGI is going to be done by George Lucas's ILM. What's interesting to the Otherworld Steve, he also posted how he was in contact with someone at Fox and they just completely denied that there was a Dragon Ball movie. He also got confirmation from ILM that they had no involvement in the movie either. So I really think this was just made to get feelers out for people's interest in Dragon Ball Z live action. Of course, there was all the fan casting and speculation of who wanted who to play who, you know, so that was running rampant on the internet. From here, Funimation discontinued any further details. By March 2004, rumors spread that the film was even dead. Until June 2004, Ben Ramsey officially signs on as screenwriter for Dragon Ball Z. From Variety, screenwriter Ben Ramsey has inked a $500,000 deal to adapt Dragon Ball Z for 20th Century Fox. Ramsey, the big hit, recently penned the adaptation of Marvel's Luke Cage at Sony's Columbia Pictures, as well as Static for Cole-based producer Neil Moritz. Static, I believe, was the Static Shock movie that he was going to be penning as well. August 2004. Potentially fake details perpetuate rumors. Information detailed by DBZSC.com, now defunct, was found by a user on the Kanzenshu.com forums, listing tidbits for an upcoming Dragon Ball film. Now, why this seemed potentially fake at the time was this was being reported by DBZCS, which was a notorious site for posting false information. However, early film synopsis floating around the internet at the time, as seen in Variety's article, is worded so similarly, it's curious if the phrasing comes from official Fox details or just fake information getting into real journalism. Assuming this information was true at some point, it's interesting to point out that Teddy Safran is listed in the writing credits. Before researching this film, Safran, who wrote Tank Girl and Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, was never mentioned anywhere until this listing. My final guess is that someone in a higher power on the production called for a script rewrite and hired Safran, who's good at writing action. For one reason or another, that fell through, and the film's director, James Wong, ultimately pens the rewrite and shoots that script anyway. It's all speculation at this point, but I just thought I'd throw in a random tidbit here about this.
Beautiful, popular, but beneath it all lies a secret.
I'm a fighter too.
Meet Chi-Chi. She may look innocent, but in this world,
Who are you?
nothing is what it seems.
My game, my rules.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
November 2007. Director and initial cast are revealed, and 20th Century Fox officially announces Dragon Ball with a press release, stating that it is looking to release it worldwide on August 15th, 2008. On September 2007, shooting locations were revealed. From Anime News Network, shooting will begin shortly for 20th Century Fox's upcoming live-action adaptation of Dragon Ball Z. The budget for the film is estimated to be at least $100 million. This will be one of 3 big-budget movies that Fox will film in Montreal over the fall and winter. Ultimately, the film was shot mostly in Durango, Mexico. That same month, an open casting call was sent out in Durango, Mexico. In December 2007, it was officially announced from Anime News Network that Jamie Chung is cast as Chi-Chi, and then Emmy Rossum gives an update on her MySpace page. January 2008, Randall Duck Kim is cast as Gohan. And then in June 2008, the script for Dragon Ball Z was leaked on Scribd.com. From DragonBallTrailer.blogspot.com, quote, "A former version of the script of Dragon Ball may have leaked online. The file, still titled Dragon Ball Z, comes from IMDb. The script is signed by Ben Ramsey, and there is mention of Magnet Management." It's very interesting to note here that the script was leaked this early, the Dragon Ball Z version of this script, and this completely flew under a lot of people's radar. It's so different from what we ultimately got that you can directly compare this script to James Wong's rewrites and see exactly what he changed. It's incredible. On March 2008, the live-action movie's date was pushed back. From comingsoon.net, quote, 20th Century Fox has pushed back the studio's big-screen Dragon Ball adaptation from August 15, 2008 to April 3, 2009. On the old date, it was facing The International, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Tropic Thunder, and Wild Child. That would have been absolutely insane if Dragon Ball Evolution would go up against these films. It totally would have bombed, even harder than it did. October 2008, the Dragon Ball teaser drops. December 2008, video game based on movie is announced. From Kanzenshu.com, this tidbit of news comes to us courtesy of Jump over in Japan. Namco Bandai is going to be developing a game for the PSP based on the American-made live-action movie. That same month, the game was teased at Jump Festa 2009.
Patient, wise, and completely unpredictable. Meet Roshi. He's showing the world the greatest force of all is the one that comes from within. Dragon Ball Evolution.
December 2008, the international trailer for the live-action movie was dropped, and it confirmed the film's new title, Evolution. The following month, it was 2009, and more details on the video game came out as well as a trailer. That same year, the Japanese voice cast for Dragon Ball Evolution was announced. Most notably, Yamcha was going to be voiced by Hisayo Egawa, best known for playing some minor voice roles in Dragon Ball Z, as well as narration by Mami Koyoma, best known as the voice of Arali on Dr. Slump and Lunch on Dragon Ball. That same month as well, Toriyama comments on Evolution. Quote, as the original creator, I had a feeling of, huh? Upon seeing the screenplay and the character designs, and the director and the actors, the staff, and the rest are nothing but ultra high caliber people. Maybe the right way for me and all the fans to appreciate it is as a new Dragon Ball of a different dimension. Perhaps this might become a great masterpiece of power. Hey, I look forward to it. I love how cordial he's trying to be and professional and just like trying to be upbeat about this terrible film that he's about to witness. He read the script and he's like, oh god, no. February 2009 still. This is a very big month for Dragon Ball Evolution. The Evolution cast attends a press conference in Taiwan. From CCTV International, when they covered the event, actor Chow Yun-fat said, the director told me, you should forget the cartoon character in the book and follow my pace. So I just followed him. That's it. That is such a telling sign of where the direction of this movie was going. James Wong was just like, no, don't do the character in the book that we're adapting. Do what I want to do. Which is like, why adapt Dragon Ball? Make another movie then. This gig isn't for you. Anyway, February 2009 still, the CD single of Rule was released. I got some tidbits here for you about Rule. Rule was released February 25th, 2009 as Ayumi Hamazaki's 45th single. There was 3 different covers for the single. Type A also saw a limited edition release with a DVD packed in. The song was included in Hamazaki's 10th full studio album, Next Level, as track 10, released March 25th, 2009. James Wong, director of the film, personally chose her for this theme song as he is a big fan. Here's what Toriyama had to say about his commissioned piece. Actually, I'm really not good at caricatures, and for a while I regretted taking on this job. Hamazaki-san has so many fans, and I hope they don't get angry that the image doesn't resemble her. On March 2009, Viz Publishing officially releases all their tie-in books. To coincide with the release of Dragon Ball Evolution, Viz Media released 4 children's books, 1 junior novel, and 3 chapter books, which broke the movie up into 3 parts. These were later translated in Japanese and released by Show Pro in Japan. These books all seem to be based on an early draft of the film's script, as it has weird inconsistencies, much like the PSP game, which we'll be discussing later. It gives Bulma and Chi-Chi the last names of Kanto and McRoberts, respectively. Even the name dropping of Kakarot definitely made it clear that they had sequel ideas already in the works. They're a fun read to get an idea of what the script looked like a little bit earlier. It's essentially the same story as the film, so your mileage may vary depending on how much you like the story. Each of the books have full color pages of various screenshots and character images and things like that. It's just to promote the film further. It also has like little splashes of quotes and things like that, just a little zest for kids books. Pretty much what like the sticker album does here too. It's just a lot of, hey, here's cool Goku, this is cool, right? Please like this. Please like this. March 2009 was also the month where the video game was finally released. But that's going to be part 5. March 10th marked the international premiere of Dragon Ball Evolution in Japan. And finally, the movie was released. Many spoilers were revealed to the public finally. Reviews came crashing in. And all of the information about how bad this film was and how different it was from Dragon Ball was finally unleashed to the public. However, before we even get to the aftermath of Dragon Ball Evolution, let's talk about the film soundtrack. There is one oddity on the entire album, and that is the track titled Kaio-sama. In a Dragon Ball movie where the character isn't even introduced until a later story arc in the original manga, the fact that Kaio-sama is even referenced in the soundtrack is very telling of where everybody's head was at. The score for Evolution was done by Brian Tyler, and he did an excellent job, actually. I really love the soundtrack. I love the score. It's really good. And I even love Rule and Sparkle. Ayumi Hamazaki's music is really good. I really like the musical aspect of this film. So you could totally tell that he did some research too. However, it seemed like everyone was researching Dragon Ball Z. And once they got the memo that they're doing the original manga Dragon Ball, I'm assuming everyone just kind of was like, what? What are we making? So again, it's like what Chow Yun Fat said about James Wong. Don't worry about the cartoon characters in the book. Just follow what I'm doing.
Beauty, brains,
PhD in applied dynamics.
Cool.
and one major attitude.
Leave your hand there another second, and you'll lose it.
Meet Bulma. If you get in her way, she'll make you pay.
Wow.
Dragon Ball Evolution.
Dragon Ball Evolution was released on April 10th in the US to overwhelmingly negative reviews. Currently it stands at a 15% rotten with critics and 20% rotten with audiences. Domestically, the film opened in 2,181 theaters and made $5.3 million its opening weekend. However, its domestic theatrical run only lasted 8 weeks, bringing in a total of $9.4 million. With an estimated budget of $30 million, that's a huge bomb for Fox. To break even, they needed to make at least double that, and unfortunately the international market didn't bring it home, ultimately making the film's total gross only $58 million. Home video sales might have pushed it over the breaking even point, as the total estimated domestic DVD and Blu-ray sales reached $8.6 million. Here's a monetary comparison of actual Dragon Ball films released in America versus Evolution. The first two only did so little in the US because of the limited release of the films, only going for about a week or so in theaters. Given that context, those films made a lot of money in a short amount of time. With a fan favorite character and hot off the end of the Super TV show, Broly was given much wider release in the US and thus blew Evolution out of the park, even when adjusting for inflation. On March 2013, Akira Toriyama makes his first comment about Evolution in almost 4 years. From Kanzenshuu.com. On March 24, 2013, Akira Toriyama makes a public appearance on Fuji TV's Mondo Kobayashi, where he was promoting the Battle of Gods film. He was interviewed on the show, and one question was asked. If Dragon Ball were to be made into a live action, what sort of casting would you want? His answer? This is something I also thought about a little bit at the time of that Hollywood live action version, which came out incredibly amazing, but in the end, nobody came to mind. If I were back when Jackie Chan was still young, I suppose I would have thought nobody could play Goku but him. On May 2013, Toriyama makes a follow-up comment on Evolution. It definitely contradicts the one we talked about from 2009. In that quote, he was very excited for it. But like I said, it was probably exactly for promotion of the film, because he was being professional about it. In May 2016, Ben Ramsey apologizes for Dragon Ball Evolution. On Derek Padula's website, the Tao of Dragonball.com, he did an interview with Ben Ramsey, and he ultimately apologized for it. It was this huge expose at the time. It was 7 years in the making, but the writer actually apologized for the way it turned out. However, it wasn't completely his fault. Yeah, the script was weird, and he made $500,000 to write a weird script. But that original script at least seemed a little closer to what fans wanted. Whether you like the original Dragon Ball Z script or the Evolution rewrite, it is hard to say which would have been a more successful film. Both have their flaws and both have their strengths. Both feel like they were trying to capture something, but both failed to capture what Dragon Ball truly is.
Strong, fearless,
Not bad.
just an ordinary kid fulfilling his destiny to save the world. Meet Goku. He's one student who's becoming the master. Dragon Ball Evolution.
Dragon Ball Evolution was released for the PlayStation Portable on March 19th, 2009 in Japan, April 8th, 2009 in North America, and April 17th, 2009 in Europe. The game's story mode plays out exactly like the movie, down to direct quotes from the script. Of course, it takes some liberties here and there to make the story make sense in a game story that's played out with cardboard cutouts of the actors, actually. The game mechanics are very similar to the Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai games for the same system, which are a tweaking of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai's mechanics. The biggest gameplay change is the fact that characters can't fly, which tried to make the game more realistic as the films tried to do. However, characters in the film do fly, and omitting the flying is perplexing. This was the first and still only game to feature Bulma as a playable fighter. Playing story mode grants access to various galleries in the game, where you can use Zenny to purchase pictures. What's really cool about the gallery in the PSP game is that all of the film's concept art that was ever released to the public is right here. It's not on the DVD, it's not on the Blu-ray, it's not on the website, it's on the PSP game as bonus features. Speaking of concept art, one concept artist for the film, Alex Tuas, posted on his website his work for the film and had this to say about his work. I have worked on Dragon Ball for Amalgamated Dynamics. Alec Giss and Tom Woodruff are great people to work with. I was free to bring my own ideas. The idea was to make something original and a little different from the manga or the animated TV show. At this stage, I did not know who will play Lord Piccolo. I worked only a small week on this movie. Concept artist Jared S. Morantz also posted his work to his website and had this to say about his work. Say what you will about this project, but I had an amazing time working with the team at ADI on this film. As a concept artist, it's your job to supply clients with exciting options for their vision of their film. That really is the job. You take the direction you are given and hope it works. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. All in all, I will always have fond memories of working on this film. Going back to the Dragon Ball Evolution video game. It's interesting to note that at the end of the game, you can unlock a character named Neo Piccolo. And in the story mode, you encounter this character. I'm wondering if this is a failed sequel idea, if they were going to bring Piccolo back as Neo Piccolo, or if this is just a video game only exclusive character that they just thought up during the development. I'm not entirely sure, because at the end of Dragon Ball Evolution, there is a teaser for Piccolo's return, because of course he comes back. But was he going to be called Neo Piccolo with a red cloak? Or is this just for the video game? I'm inclined to say that this is for the video game because they knew where he was going to go, in just sort of a assumption sort of way, because, you know, it's Bandai Namco and they know Dragon Ball. But it's interesting to note, because if Evolution 2 came out, I wonder if this is how he would look, and if this is what he would be called, and if he was still a villain or not. Side note about failed villain ideas. For the toy line of Dragon Ball Evolution, each character had a piece of an Ozaru warrior in a hologram form that you could create. It almost looks like Vegeta. He has the Saiyan armor and everything. And it looks like the original design that they were going to go for. While filming the movie, the Ozaru looked like this, and they changed the look in post-production with CGI. However, it's interesting to note that with the Saiyan armor, the Ozaru, and the mention of Kakarot in the novels, I'm thinking that they were really going to tie this deeper into Dragon Ball Z. Even the Blu-ray has Z Edition on the cover. They were well aware that Dragon Ball Z existed, and they made a Dragon Ball film. But right before the film was released, they cut every tie to Z. And that's the film that people wanted. Ultimately, Dragon Ball Evolution failed to live up to people's expectations. And now we know why. The people behind it took too long, didn't know what they were doing, and made a mediocre product for a quick buck. Hopefully next time in the future they get it right if they ever try to do this again. You know, it's crazy. Without Dragon Ball Evolution, without it failing so bad, and it clicking with Akira Toriyama that, hey, maybe I need to take creative control of this series again, we may not have even gotten Battle of Gods at all. This was made to revitalize Dragon Ball in a whole new light, in a whole new era. And then ultimately we got the reboot of the series with Dragon Ball Super. So thank you so much, Akira Toriyama. Rest in peace.